The jungle moon of Carthos was never truly quiet. Strange insects clicked in the dark. Heavy leaves moved even when there was no wind. Far away, something always screamed. But tonight, the jungle held its breath. A young predator moved between the tall black trees. His body was low to the ground. His muscles rolled under dark silver fur. His yellow eyes glowed in the faint blue light of the twin moons above. He was not fully grown yet, but he was already deadly. His kind ruled this world. Everything that walked, crawled, or flew was either hunter or food. And tonight, he was hungry. He stopped suddenly. The air carried a fresh scent. Blood. Warm. Recent. Not old. Not stolen. Fresh kill. His lips lifted slightly, showing sharp white teeth. Someone had hunted in his valley. Someone had taken prey from his territory. That was a mistake. He moved faster now, silent and smooth. His paws touched the ground without sound. He followed the smell through thick vines and broken branches. The jungle seemed to move away from him. Small creatures hid in fear. Then he saw light ahead. A small fire. Fire meant intelligence. Fire meant danger. Or weakness. He climbed onto a low rock and looked down into a clearing. There she was. A human female. Alone. She was kneeling beside a large beast that lay dead at her feet. The animal was twice her size, with thick hide and long curved horns. Its throat had been cut clean. The young predator blinked slowly. Humans were not common on Carthos. They were soft creatures. Small. Weak. Easy prey. But this one had killed something strong. Her clothes were torn. One sleeve was burned. There was dried blood on her face. Her dark hair was tied back roughly. A long blade rested near her hand. She was breathing hard. But she did not look afraid. She was cutting meat from the kill carefully, placing it into a small metal pack beside her. The predator stepped out from the shadows. He did not hide. He wanted her to see him. A deep growl rolled from his chest. It was low and powerful. A clear message. Leave the food. This is mine. The human froze for 1 second. Slowly, she turned her head. Their eyes met. Most prey would scream. Most prey would run. She did neither. Instead, she stood up slowly. She did not rush. She did not shake. She picked up her blade and held it loosely at her side. The predator walked forward into the moonlight. Now she could see him clearly. He was taller than her, even on 4 legs. His claws dug lightly into the soil. His tail moved slowly behind him. He growled again, louder this time. A warning. The human stared at him for a long moment. Then something unexpected happened. She bared her teeth slightly, and she growled back. It was not as loud as his growl, but it was not weak. It was steady, controlled. A challenge. The young predator stopped moving. No prey had ever answered him like that. Her eyes were not wide with fear. They were sharp, focused, watching him like he was the one being hunted. The air between them became heavy. The fire behind her cracked softly. The jungle stayed silent. The predator took another slow step closer, testing her courage. She did not step back. Instead, she moved 1 foot forward, claiming her ground. Her voice was calm when she spoke, even if he did not understand the words. This is mine. He did not know human language, but he understood tone, ownership, strength, dominance. Something inside him shifted. This was not prey. This was something else. He lowered his body slightly, preparing to lunge, not to kill, but to test. If she ran, she would prove him right. If she stood, then this night would become something different. Under the twin moons of Carthos, hunter and human faced each other over fresh blood, and the jungle waited to see who would break first. The jungle did not move. Even the wind seemed afraid to choose a side. The young predator lowered himself slightly, muscles tight, ready to spring. His yellow eyes never left her face. He had tested many creatures before. Most broke before he even touched them. He expected the same now. He lunged. Fast. Not full attack, just enough to scare. But she did not scream. She stepped to the side at the last second. Her movement was smooth, like she had trained for this. The predator felt the air shift as her blade passed near his shoulder. She did not strike to kill. She struck to warn. The metal edge touched his fur for only a breath of time, but he felt it. Cold. Sharp. Precise. He jumped back, surprised. No panic smell. No shaking hands. The human turned with him, keeping her eyes locked on his. Her blade stayed between them. Her breathing was steady, even if her heart beat faster. He circled her slowly. Left. Right. Testing. She turned with him, always facing him, always ready. The fire behind her burned lower now, casting long shadows across the clearing. In the red light, they looked equal, two hunters measuring each other. The predator growled louder this time, letting his teeth show fully. His claws cut into the dirt. He wanted to see fear. Instead, she did something unexpected. She took one slow step toward him. Not away. Toward. The message was clear. If you want this kill, fight me for it. The predator's tail stopped moving. That was not normal prey behavior. That was dominance. He lunged again, faster this time, claws extended. She moved low, rolling under his strike. Her shoulder brushed the ground, but she came up quickly. The blade flashed again, cutting lightly across his side. A thin line of blood appeared. Not deep, but real. The predator froze. No creature had ever marked him before. His pride burned hotter than the small wound. He roared, louder than before, shaking the leaves above them. But she did not flinch. Instead, she answered with a sound from deep in her chest. Not a scream, not fear. A growl. Short, sharp, strong. She stepped forward again, placing her boot beside the dead beast, claiming it once more. "This is mine," she said again, voice steady. He did not understand the words, but he understood the fight in her eyes. This human was not protecting food. She was protecting her hunt. That meant something important in his world. Only true hunters defended their kill this way. He moved again, but slower now. Not attacking, thinking. The scent of blood filled the air. The scent of her sweat carried no fear, only effort. She had killed this large beast alone. That meant she was skilled. That meant she was dangerous. The predator tilted his head slightly. He could fight her fully. He could try to crush her. But something told him this would not be easy. And loud fights brought bigger threats. The jungle was never empty. As if called by that thought, a distant roar echoed across the valley. Deeper than his. Older. Stronger. Both of them turned their heads at the same time. Another predator had smelled the blood. The ground vibrated faintly beneath heavy steps moving closer through the trees. The young predator looked back at the human. She understood danger too. Her eyes shifted from him to the dark jungle, then back to him. In that silent moment, something changed. They were no longer just hunter and prey. They were two hunters with a bigger problem coming. The heavy steps grew louder. Branches snapped. A massive shadow moved between the trees. The older predator stepped into the edge of the clearing. Twice the size. Scarred. Dominant. It let out a roar that shook the fire into sparks. The young predator stiffened. This was no test. This was survival. He glanced at the human. She tightened her grip on the blade. And instead of running, she stepped forward. The older predator stepped fully into the clearing. He was massive. Scars covered his thick hide. One ear was torn. His eyes were darker than night, filled with cold experience. He did not move like the young one. He moved with slow confidence. He had won many battles. And he smelled weakness. The young predator stood still, but his body was tense. This was not just a random beast. This was a territory breaker. An alpha challenger. The human woman did not know their rules. But she understood danger. The older predator ignored her at first. His eyes locked onto the younger one. He let out a low rumble. A claim. "This valley is mine now." The young predator answered with his own growl, louder than before. Not as deep. Not as powerful. But proud. He stepped forward. The human watched them both carefully. Her mind worked fast. Two giant predators. One wounded pride. One hungry alpha. And a dead kill between them. The older predator suddenly moved. Not at the human. At the young one. His body exploded forward with shocking speed. Claws tore through the air. The young predator barely blocked the strike. The impact threw him across the dirt. He rolled and got up quickly, but the older beast was already on him. Teeth snapped inches from his throat. The human did not think. She moved. She grabbed a burning branch from the fire and rushed toward the fight. She knew fire scared most creatures. She shouted as she ran, waving the flame near the older predator's face. For a split second, it worked. The older beast pulled his head back, surprised by heat and light. That second was enough. The young predator slammed into his rival's side with full force. Both giants crashed into the ground, rolling through dirt and blood. The fire went out behind them. Now it was just moonlight. The older predator recovered first. He was heavier, stronger. He struck down hard with one massive claw. The young predator cried out. Blood sprayed across the clearing. The human's heart pounded, But she did not freeze. If the young one died, she would be next. She ran forward again. The older predator lifted the young one by the neck, ready to crush. She jumped onto the older beast's back. Her blade drove down between thick muscles. The monster roared in rage. He twisted violently, trying to throw her off. She held on with one hand, striking again with the other. The young predator fell to the ground, coughing, but alive. He looked up. The human was fighting for him. Not running. Not hiding. Fighting. The older predator threw himself backward, slamming into the dirt. The human rolled away just in time, but her arm was scratched deep. She hissed in pain, but stood again. The older beast turned toward her now. Angry. Focused. This time he charged her. She stood her ground. At the last second, the young predator leaped back into the fight. He slammed into the older one's chest with everything he had left. They crashed together. Claws. Teeth. Blood. The human saw her moment. As the older predator pushed the young one down again, exposing his throat in a roar of victory, she ran forward. She jumped. Her blade drove deep into the soft space beneath his jaw. The roar stopped. The body froze. For a long second, nothing moved. Then the older predator collapsed. Dead. Silence returned to the jungle. The young predator lay on the ground, breathing hard. Blood ran from his side. He slowly pushed himself up. The human stood a few steps away, her chest rising fast. Blood from her arm dripped onto the dirt. They stared at each other again. But everything had changed. She had not run. She had not left him to die. She had fought beside him. The young predator slowly walked toward the fallen alpha. Then he did something no one expected. He stepped back from the kill. He lowered his head slightly toward her. Not submission. Recognition. You are hunter. You are pack. The human looked at him carefully. Then she nodded once. Under the cold twin moons of Carthos, two predators stood over a fallen alpha. Both bleeding. Both alive. And the jungle now knew a new truth. The human was never prey. She was something far more dangerous. She fought like a predator. And predators respected strength. The jungle slowly found its voice again. Insects began to click. Leaves shifted in the night wind. Far above, strange birds cried once more. But the clearing felt different now. The old alpha lay dead. The young predator stood beside the human, both covered in blood that was not fully their own. He watched her closely. She did not rush to celebrate. She did not smile. She moved carefully toward the fallen giant and placed one hand on its thick hide. For a moment, she closed her eyes. Respect for the fallen. The young predator understood that gesture. His kind also respected strong enemies. She pulled her blade free and wiped it clean on the beast's fur. Then she stepped back and looked at him. He expected her to take everything now. The body belonged to whoever killed the alpha. That was law. Instead, she picked up her smaller pack and walked toward the original kill, the horned beast she had hunted alone. She cut a large piece of meat from it. Then she turned and tossed it toward him. The piece landed near his paws. He blinked. She was sharing her hunt. Not the alpha. Her first kill. The one he had tried to take. He slowly lowered his head and picked up the meat. It was a gift, but not one of fear. An equal share. He ate slowly, never breaking eye contact with her. She cut another piece for herself and sat down near the dead fire, using a small metal tool to spark it alive again. Flames rose softly between them. Two hunters. One fire. No chains. No cages. Only choice. After eating, she stood and approached him carefully. He tensed for a second, unsure. She stopped close enough to touch him. Her eyes moved to the deep wound along his side. He growled softly, warning her not to test him. But she did not pull back. Slowly, she lowered herself to one knee and took something from her pack. A small metal box. She opened it and removed cloth and liquid. He watched every movement. She lifted the cloth slowly and pressed it gently against his wound. Pain flashed through him. He growled louder. But she did not stop. Her voice was calm again, like before. Easy, she whispered. He did not know the word, but he understood the tone. Not threat, not command. Care. No creature outside his kind had ever touched him without trying to kill him. He could bite her neck easily right now. He did not. Instead, he stayed still. She cleaned the wound carefully and wrapped part of his side with strong cloth. Her hands were steady, even though her own arm was bleeding. When she finished, she leaned back slightly. Now it was his turn to stare. She was injured too. Her arm had a deep cut from the alpha's claw. Without thinking fully, he stepped closer. She stiffened but did not attack. He lowered his head near her injured arm and sniffed. Blood. Real. She had risked herself for him. Slowly, he turned and walked to the dead alpha. With one sharp bite, he tore off a strip of thick hide. He returned to her and dropped it at her feet. Protection. Strong hide. Armor. Her eyes widened slightly. She understood. She gave a small smile. Not weakness. Not fear. Respect. Above them, hidden in the clouds, a small silver object moved silently. A scout drone. Watching. Recording. Far away in orbit, inside a quiet observation ship, alien officers stared at their screens in shock. This is impossible, one whispered. The predator species does not bond outside their own kind. But on the screen, the image was clear. A human female sitting beside a Carthos apex predator, tending his wounds, sharing meat. No fear between them, only balance. Back in the clearing, the fire burned stronger. The young predator lay down near it, not too close, not too far. She sat opposite him. Their eyes met one last time before rest. In that silent agreement, something ancient shifted. Not dominance, not submission, partnership. The jungle would remember this night. And soon, so would the galaxy. Morning came slowly to the jungle moon of Carthos. Mist rolled between the trees. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of wet soil and dried blood. Sunlight pushed through the thick canopy in thin golden lines. The young predator opened his eyes first. He lifted his head and listened. The jungle was alive again, but different. Small creatures stayed farther away from the clearing. Word had already spread in the silent language of survival. An alpha had fallen. He turned his head. The human was awake, sitting near the fire's ashes. She was repairing her blade carefully, checking its edge against a small stone. Her injured arm was wrapped with thick hide, the piece he had given her. She noticed him watching. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. No growling, no challenge, only understanding. He stood slowly. His side still hurt, but the wound was clean. She had treated it well. He tested his weight. Strong enough. She rose to her feet too. Without speaking, she walked toward the fallen alpha. She cut away more thick hide and secured it around her shoulders like armor. Then she packed strips of meat into her metal bag. The young predator stepped closer to the edge of the clearing. He could leave now, return to the deep jungle, claim the territory left empty by the dead alpha. But instead, he waited. She walked toward him. She stopped only a few steps away. Then she did something no prey had ever done in his life. She reached out her hand. Not fast, not sudden, slow, offering scent, offering trust. He lowered his head carefully and sniffed her palm. Blood, smoke, steel, strength. He did not bite. Instead, he gave a short, low growl, not warning. Acceptance. High above them, hidden in orbit, the alien observation ship adjusted its view. Inside, officers stared at the live feed in silence. This human has survived alone for 3 cycles, one officer said quietly. And now she is bonded with the apex predator. Another shook his head. Not bonded. Equalized. The commander watched carefully as the human and predator began walking, side by side, into the trees. No chains, the commander whispered. No fear behavior. This is not control. Back in the jungle, the human moved with confidence. The predator walked beside her, not in front, not behind. Together, they moved deeper into the valley. A smaller beast suddenly burst from the bushes ahead, startled by their scent. It froze when it saw them. 2 predators. Different species. One presence. The animal turned and ran immediately. The young predator glanced at the human. She gave a slight smile. The message was clear. The jungle understood. Later that day, they reached a high ridge overlooking the valley. The young predator climbed onto a large stone and let out a powerful roar. Not challenge. Not threat. Claim. The sound echoed across the forest. The human stood beside him, wind moving her hair, blade resting calmly in her hand. Far away, creatures listened. Far above, aliens recorded. In the observation ship, silence filled the command room. The commander finally spoke. Update all sectors. He paused, watching the image of the human standing beside the apex predator. Humans are not prey. Another officer swallowed nervously. Then what are they? The commander's voice was steady. They are predators. Below, on the jungle moon, the young predator stepped down from the stone. He brushed lightly against the human's side, as they turned back toward the trees. No dominance. No submission. Only shared strength. The galaxy had believed humans were weak, soft, easy to conquer, but they did not understand one simple truth. Humans did not survive by hiding. They survived by adapting, by fighting, by earning respect the only way the universe truly respected anyone, through strength. As the two hunters disappeared into the deep jungle together, a new story began spreading across the stars. He thought she was prey, until she growled back, and the galaxy would never make that mistake again.